Crowd of about 9,000 enjoying harness racing at its very best here. And next up will be the 2-year-old Colt Trotters into the spotlight for the 12th race on the card. A beautiful Friday night. And the purse here is $400,000, and there you get a beautiful shot from the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise. Well, our host here at Pompano Park is the president of Pompano, John Cashman, and Stan Bergstein has a profile of John and the entire
Kentucky
operation.
Bluegrass has for more than a century been the site of great farms and the birthplace of champion racehorses, thoroughbred runners and standardbred trotters and pacers. One of the largest and most successful farms is historic Castleton, home of champion sires like Brett Hanover, Speedy Scott, and Abercrombie. The late Fred Van Lennep was the architect of Castleton's present success, and the current builder in his tradition is President John Cashman, Jr.
Fred Van Lennep was, most people didn't know him. He had a tremendous foresight for what the business needed, and the participation and dedication that was necessary that goes with the horse business, whether it was in the breeding end of it, whether it was in the racetrack ownership end of it.
The king of Castleton is Brett Hanover, now 26 and still an outstanding stallion. In the mid-1960s, he was virtually invincible, winning 62 of 68 races, including Pacing's Triple Crown. He filled Castleton's trophy case to overflowing, and his son's Storm Damage is a Castleton stallion too. The latest addition to Castleton stallion ranks is the recently retired Armbro Goal, winner of this year's Hambletonian and World Trotting Derby, and dominant trotting 3-year-old of 1988.
Castleton's philosophy on stallions is to try to buy the best stallions, or lease the best stallions, and stand them at the crown jewel, which is our Kentucky farm. As you know, Bob, we have farms in New York and New Jersey, Ohio, and Florida also, which are very successful, and those farms were built to satisfy the needs of our customers who wanted to race in those programs in those states for the lucrative money that was being passed around in those various states.
Part of the Castleton Empire is beautiful Pompano Park, where tonight's Breeders' Crown action is unfolding. It is, as it proudly proclaims, the winter capital of harness racing.
Pompano Park is a real challenge to me. You know, I love it. It was Fred's dream. He lived with it for 25 years, and there's a lot more work to be done, but it's very, very gratifying because it's a beautiful facility and a beautiful setting, beautiful weather, and now we have top horses, and as long as we can continue to grow, we'll have better horses. It was a great thrill for me to, talk with Fred and say, when the Breeders' Crown was conceived, we got to have a $500,000 race. We got to get one of those Breeders' Crowns in Pompano. It's brought harness racing in South Florida from Push League to Big League.
One of the world's greatest horses, world champion Mac LOBELL, scored this devastating victory here in the Breeders' Crown last year.
It's been a real fulfillment of a lot of dreams. When you're a kid and you love a sport, like a kid loves baseball and he dreams of going to the World Series, I think I've reached the World Series. And there's a lot more challenges that lie ahead for the industry, and I think I'm in a position to help the industry advance and go through the changes and keep some of the tradition, or a lot of the tradition, and make it a better business.
And as you can see, the crowd has turned out for this business, which is also a sport and a lot of fun. Here's the final order of finish in our first event tonight, the 2-year-old filly Trotters. And as you can see, it was Peace Corps, Armbro Hintner, and Park Avenue Cathy, all the way down to Armbro Hillary. What a beautiful evening it is here in southern Florida. And take a look from the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise, based right here in Pompano Beach, Florida. Tonight's pilot is Captain Drew Marshall, who also resides in Pompano Beach. And thanks very much for these beautiful shots from the Goodyear Blimp. And let's take a look at the morning line for tonight's 12th race here. It's the second of our doubleheader. And we're going to take a look at the Trotters of the 2-year-old ranks, and we have ZIGGY Hanover at 3-1 with Dan Shetler driving. Valley Victory, this is the Baltic Speed Colt with Bill O'Donnell, 5-2. Speed Sailing at 6-1 with Ron Waples. Kaiser Lobell starts at 4.5 with Ray Remen. Cobra Lobell, the 5-horse, at 8 with Jan Janssen. London Hunt with Doug Brown at 6. Then we have Probe Campbell driving a long shot here at 12. And Flying Irishman, I wonder if that was named after Harold Kelly, at 15-1. Let's take a look now at the field. Here is number 1, ZIGGY Hanover.
ZIGGY Hanover has won $114,000. He is part owned in Belgium, and he's been 12 times first, second, or third in 17 starts.
And the driver is Dan Shetler. At 16, he went to the State Fair in Springfield, Illinois, made up his mind right then to become a harness driver. Groomed for Del Insco, and he's out on his own. Now let's take a look at number 2, Valley Victory.
He has only made 6 starts this year as a 2-year-old. He's won 3 of them, and he has the lowest earnings of any horse in this race, but he still is going to be the horse they have to beat to win.
And the driver is Bill O'Donnell, the first harness driver in the history of the sport to win $10 million in purses in a single season. Number 3, Speed Sailing, coming onto the track now.
This is Lou Guida's hope in this one. He is a Baltic Speed, also like Valley Victory. So Baltic Speed has 2 colts in this race, and this colt is headed for Austria. There's a sale pending.
And the driver is Ron Waples. His lifetime earnings are over $33 million in purse money, and he's won over 4,500 races in a 20-year career. Number 4 is Kaiser Lobell.
The early season sensation. His owner went to the sale, Susan Layden, last year, put up her hand, $40,000, didn't expect to buy him. He's won $515,000 this year. She's the co-owner.
And Ray Remen, from a racing family, has won over 2,100 races, and his mounts have earned over $19 million, placing him in the top 20 drivers in history. Number 5 is Cobra Lobell.
Can't count him out of it. He has been 6 times first, 4 times second, and 11 times first, second, and third in 15 starts.
And the driver is Jan Janssen, who went to work for Hawk and Walner when he was only 14 years old, and 22 years later, he is one of the best in the business. Jan Janssen driving Cobra Lobell. London Hunt is the 6-horse.
He has gotten within a half a length of ZIGGY Hanover last week, so obviously, although he's only won 3 races, he's a contender.
And the driver is Doug Brown. In a 14-year career, the 33-year-old Canadian is booted home winners of $18 million in purses and 3,200 races, and he's driven in 7 Breeders' Crown events. That's Doug Brown in the green and white. And we have number 7, Probe.
Only 2 wins this year, 6 times first, second, or third in 10 starts. But he can't be counted out for the reason, David, because of his driver.
And the driver is John Campbell, who's won almost every classic race, including the 2-year-old filly Trot in the Breeders' Crown. As of tonight, he dominates the crown, his mounts winning almost $4 million. And here's number 8, Flying Irishman.
Trained by the great Hall of Famer Stanley Dancer, owned by Norman Woolworth's Clearview Stable and Margaret Wallenius Kleiberg of Sweden, and a $266,000 winner here in his first year of racing at 2.
And again, we have a field of 8, and there is Harold Kelly, who's enjoyed his best season to date with 292 wins and $1.3 million in purses. Well, we start our race tonight with 8, but that's not the number that we started with. Let's find out from Ken and Ellie how we whittled them down.
Thanks, Dave. A field of 14 entered for tonight's Breeders' Crown finale among the 2-year-old Colt Trotters. That field, of course, has been pared down to 8 for our championship race here tonight through 2 eliminations that were held here at Pompano last weekend. As we take a look back now at the first elimination, 2 colts really stood out, Ellie.
Well, I think ZIGGY Hanover definitely put on a tremendous performance. He's been ultra consistent all year. And another colt to watch in that elimination is Speed Sailing. He's just starting to come into his own.
Let's go back last week to Pompano and take a look at the first elimination for tonight's Breeders' Crown Championship.
3/4 in 130 flat. Plenty in reserve for ZIGGY Hanover. He's got it by 2. Speed Sailing on the outside, and at the rail, London Hunt, followed by Probe coming on to be 4th. He is now within striking distance, and Vista Lobell is 5th. They are in the lane. ZIGGY Hanover, Dan Shetler looks over his shoulder and urges on ZIGGY Hanover to the wire. Speed Sailing closing on the outside. At the rail, London Hunt, they drive to the wire. ZIGGY Hanover hangs on in 159 and 3.
And Ellie, as they come down the stretch, Ziggy Hanover just had enough.
Well, he maintained his lead, but he had plenty of challenges. Speed Sailing edged off the rail, flying late with plenty of trot. London Hunt locked in, never got his bike wheels through.
And Probe finished fourth to qualify for tonight's final. Now, as we take a look at the second elimination last week, and one horse that stood out in your mind going into that race.
Well, everybody's eyes are on Kaiser Lobell. He won the Peter Houghton this earlier in the season. He's been just at the peak of his game, $500,000 to his card, but Valley Victory is going to be his main rival.
Okay, let's go back last week at Pompano and take a look at the second division. Remember, the top 4 finishers qualify for tonight.
3/4 in 1:29 1/5. And as they head for home, Kaiser Lobell, the winner catch. Bon Vivant on the outside. Valley Victory now swings 3 wide. And Flying Irishman behind that wall of horses looking for room. They are in the lane. Kaiser Lobell, Valley Victory is trotting up a storm on the outside. And now drawing clear. Valley Victory coming on. Kaiser Lobell second, followed by Cobra Lobell. It's all Valley Victory in 1:59 flat.
And as we take a look now at the stretch drive, you see Valley Victory looking impressive outside.
And as you can see, Kaiser Lobell's long campaign starting to catch up with him. Valley Victory, perfect second over trip, but just exploded in the stretch to an uncontested win. What an amazing performance by this colt.
And Cobra Lobell finishing third, Flying Irishman finishing fourth. And Dave, that is the way that we arrived at the 8 for tonight's championship here in the Breeders' Crown. Back to you.
And there's Valley Victory. He holds the track record for 2-year-old colts on the trot, 158-3. He set that at the end of October, and many think that it's going to fall tonight. Let's take a look at the odds as we get close to post time. Ziggy Hanover at 7-1, and again we have an odds-on favorite 2-5 for Valley Victory. London Hunt getting some support at 8-1, and the others double-digit. Back with more from Pompano after this.
Welcome back to Pompano Park. We are just moments away now from the 2-year-old Colt Trotters as they try for the Breeders' Crown Championship. And with me is the owner of Ziggy Hanover, Paul Hayam. And this is a breakthrough horse for you because most of your success has been in Europe, particularly with the Belgian-American, Belgian-French breeds. But now you have your big horse here tonight.
Right. We normally race in Belgium, and last year we bought the first yearlings here and to race as a 2-year-old, and it's one of the first starts that we had. One of the first years that we had as a 2-year-old racing, yeah.
Well, obviously, Ziggy impressed you when you purchased him as a yearling. How do you like his chances tonight?
He has a chance tonight, and but Valley Victory is a very good horse.
Good luck tonight, Mr. Hayam.
Thank you very much, Cam.
Paul Hayam, who is one of the owners of Ziggy Hanover. Back to you, Dave.
Let's take a look at how they'll line up in terms of post position for tonight's 12th race here and the second of our doubleheaders. Ziggy Hanover at the rail stand. That's got to help just like it did in the filly division.
It won't hurt him a single bit, but his main contender and the horse he has to beat is right next to him.
Stan, what about year-end consistency and moving on to the 3-year-old campaign?
Well, I think it's much more correlation between the trotting colts and fillies as 2-year-olds and their 3-year-old form than with the pacers. These colts and fillies on the trot develop later in the season, and most of them, when they get good at the end of the year, seem to come back at 3 good.
And if they get good at the end of the year and they're nominated to the Breeders' Crown, lots of bucks in store. Let's take a look at the purse money up for distribution in this Breeders' Crown event for 2-year-old colts on the trot. $183,000 to the winner of this Breeders' Crown event. And who will get that 183? Well, Ellie Sarama, have you got any thoughts?
I'm a chalk better, Dave, and I have to go with the chalk here, a well-deserved favorite, Valley Victory. I think he's been so impressive, and he's coming into his own. I really can't see him getting beaten here.
And let's take a quick look at the world record and the track record. The world record was set by Mr. Drew on a 5/8 mile track, 158-2, and Valley Victory, who set the track record, will be trying to better that 158-3 that he set on October the 28th. Stan, John Campbell said something interesting a bit earlier. He talked about thinking that the filly had peaked at mid-season. I guess horses do peak at different times of the year.
Well, one of the difficulties and one of the skills of good trainers is to get them good and keep them good. It's a very, very difficult assignment. They do seem to peak, but they have peaks and valleys and then come back to form.
And as they get ready to start, we're taking a look from the blimp. What an interesting view that is as the colts move in behind the starting gate. Gary Seibel gets his binoculars up, and the fans either finish at the mutual window or rush out to the rail to see the start. It's a 5/8 mile track. This 1 mile contest, the Breeders' Crown for 2-year-old trotters, begins on the backstretch, twice past the grandstand, and then to a championship.
And another good start here as this field moves in behind the gate.
And let's listen to Gary Seibel's call.
And there they go. They're off and trotting from in between horses. Set out quickly. That is Kaiser Lobell, and also leaving on the inside, Speed Sailing, Flying Irishman trots up strongly on the outside to look for a good early spot. Coming away fourth, it's Ziggy Hanover, then a gap of 2. Valley Victory, followed right there by Cobra Lobell, London Hunt, and Probe. Midway through the paddock turn, the first time, Flying Irishman on a break. Flying Irishman is off stride. Kaiser Lobell by a length. Speed Sailing races second, Ziggy Hanover third, opening panel 29 2/5. And now they trot by the stands the first time. It's Kaiser Lobell and Ray Remnant top by 2. Speed Sailing races second, Ziggy Hanover third, a length and a half back, Valley Victory right there fourth. On the inside, it's Cobra Lobell, followed on the outside by London Hunt, Probe, and far back on the trot is Flying Irishman. They wheel around the clubhouse turn. Kaiser Lobell in control, and he's got up by 2. On the inside, second of that is Speed Sailing, and now Ziggy Hanover first to move, going up first over the half in a minute and 1/5. Field of 2-year-old trotting colts now on to the backstretch. Kaiser Lobell pours it on. He's got up by 2. Ziggy Hanover steadily closing ground on the outside. Speed Sailing content to sit at the rail third. Valley Victory now into the outside flow. He's second over fourth. On the inside, Cobra Lobell trotting fifth. London Hunt is sixth. Probe seventh. Far back, Flying Irishman heading to the 3/4 pole. Kaiser Lobell has been unchallenged throughout. Ziggy Hanover now ranges up on the outside. Right there, Speed Sailing has had the perfect trip third. 3/4, 129 flat. That third quarter, 28 4. And as they hit the top of the lane, Kaiser Lobell, but they're all coming to him now. Valley Victory tipped 3 wide, and Billy O'Donnell's got plenty of horse. Here he comes with them now. Valley Victory, the outside, storms to the front, and he's drawing clear. Ziggy Hanover, Cobra Lobell, but it's all Valley Victory in front in 1:58 1/5.
And Valley Victory has done it for Baltic Speed just as Peace Corps did it. Valley Victory, a son of Baltic Speed out of Valley Victoria, comes home a big winner tonight, having won 3 of his last 4 races. We saw him at Freehold, at Garden State and Lexington, and now a champion here at Pompano. And 150, is it 158 or 159 and 1? Looks like 158 and 1/5.
It's a record mile, and it's a great celebration for Castleton Farm. Baltic Speed stands at Castleton of New Jersey at Stanley Dancer's farm in New Jersey. And he has sired a phenomenal colt and filly from his first crop.
At the rail, Kaiser Lobell with Ray Remond goes off stride, and Valley Victory just picks up all the pieces.
He had what's known as a second over trip. He was following a horse on the outside, followed Ziggy Hanover up, but when he made his move for O'Donnell in the final turn, it was no contest.
So we had odds-on favorites in both of our contests. Campbell in one, O'Donnell in the other. What else is new? We'll be back with the celebration after these important messages. Back at Pompano Park, the second odds-on choice, the second sired by Baltic Speed. Valley Victory, the winner of the Colt Trot. Let's go to the winner's circle and Ellie Sarama.
I'm joined with the winning driver of Valley Victory, Billy O'Donnell. Billy, I spoke to you earlier about pre-race strategy. I guess it paid off. The colt was absolutely giant.
Oh, yeah, real good, Ellie. Thank you. There wasn't much strategy to it. Like, he gets away slow, and I just had to sit there, and he kicked in around the last turn. I just moved him over, and he did all the work himself.
Let's take a look at the replay on the monitor. We're going to pick it up the backside here. You pulled and you flushed Ziggy Hanover out. You had a little racing luck as far as that goes. How does the colt feel right at this point?
Strong, really strong. He's having a little trouble keeping up. They were trotting pretty good up around here. As soon as the turn came, he got right up good on the bit, and then Ziggy Hanover wasn't taking me very far. Right up in here, Ziggy Hanover kind of stays where he's at, so I just moved him over 3 deep, and the rest is on the board.
Ray looks like he's having a little trouble right here with Kaiser Lobell. He's starting to come back to him, and again, you have live enough cover coming into the lane. You tip your colt 3 deep here, and he explodes in the stretch as he did last week.
Yes, exactly. He's really a strong horse. You know, he's not a great big guy, but he's really got some strength and great stride on him, great gait.
And I'm sure you feel at this point right here that you've got the race in the bag.
Well, I stopped holding my breath at that point, yeah.
Billy O'Donnell, thanks for joining us. Congratulations again. Now back to Dave.
And if you had a ticket on the winner, you didn't have to hold your breath either. Valley Victory paid $320, and look at the place price, $420. And $340 to show. Cobra LOBELL $22.680, and ZIGGY Hanover $460. Quite a performance by Valley Victory. We'll be back. The presentation taking place in the infield winner's circle will go now down to our winner's circle. Here's Kenny.
Thanks, Dave. With me is Mrs. Arlene Traub. Congratulations, your first Breeders' Crown victory. You've had a lot of success on the track, though, in the past. How does this feel?
Oh, this feels special. I think this horse is a special horse in this race. I think this is the most important race of my career. I've won Woodrow Wilson's and I've won major races, but this is exciting.
And when he came into the stretch out wide at the end, did you think he had enough left? He was making a big move.
I thought he had plenty left. That's his big run, is the stretch run. He's got an awful lot of speed. He's still very green. My heart palpitates and pounds a lot, but I mean, he's just a super horse.
This was the kind of colt that was really coming along, and was there a particular time leading up to the Breeders' Crown here that you felt, I've got one that could go on and win it?
In the winner's circle in Lexington on September 30th, when he won a 57-2, Mr. O'Donnell said to me, get your $10,000 ready for the Breeders' Crown because we're going to win it.
No hesitation about that 10 grand then?
No, none at all. Not when you have a horse of this caliber.
And the plans for him now after the victory? Do you start thinking ahead already to 3-year-old? I know you're going to enjoy the celebration.
Well, he's going to get a deserved rest, and you know, he'll grow a little bit, he'll get a little bit of grass and come back, and I hope he'll be a top 3-year-old.
Well, he certainly looks like he has all the makings. Of course, a lot can happen between 2 and 3, but you've got a good one right now. You got a good one right now.
Well, I like what Stan Bergstein said. He said the ones that come along as good 2-year-olds towards the end of the year come back as the great 3-year-olds. So I'll go for that.
You never argue with Stan Bergstein.
No,
Congratulations, Arlene Traub, and good luck. Go enjoy the winter celebration over there tonight as Arlene Traub's horse wins tonight. Valley Victory here in the Breeders' Crown. Back to you, Dave.
And that's John Cashman, the president of Pompano Park, making the trophy presentation there. Quick correction, the place price on the winner was $4, and I don't argue with Stan Bergstein either.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This is a very remarkable lady you just saw, Arlene Traub. Last year she had a 2-year-old pacer, even odds, that won $950,000. And now she comes right back with a 2-year-old trotting colt that wins the Breeders' Crown. 2 new superstars tonight, David. We have Peace Corps, a phenomenal 2-year-old filly. Valley Victory, a great 2-year-old trotting colt, and Baltic Speed, a new super sire.
Let's take a look at the order of finish from top to bottom, and Valley Victory, the big winner here in this division of the Breeders' Crown, with Cobra LOBELL finishing second, and ZIGGY Hanover third. Probe with Campbell, the long shot, fourth, all the way down to Flying Irishman, who finished last. Now, in early August of next year, when you get set to come to the Meadowlands for the Hambletonian, don't forget that Valley Victory trotted in 158-1. Also, don't forget that Peace Corps did it a full second faster.
It might make a very interesting confrontation.
Well, thanks for being with us. It's certainly been an interesting evening watching the 2-year-olds at Pompano Park. Join us next Friday night, early Saturday morning for our season's finale featuring the 2-year-old pacing stars beginning at 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific right here on ESPN. Breeders' Crown 88 has been brought to you by Pompano Park, the winter capital of harness racing, and by Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by U.S. Air, the official airline of the Breeders' Crown. Until next week, good night from beautiful Pompano Beach.
Try to break it into boxes.